Hi, this is your gerbil speaking. Welcome back to my channel. In the last video, I made a goal to finish everything on my Switch before I bought a new game, and the first game we started with was Super Mario Bros., which got a B on my tier list. And I thought fuck it, and just go through everything in the Super Mario All-Stars collection, because I'm not the kind of guy to half-ass things, except when I reach a difficult section of the game, in which case I stop for a little bit, and then I lay down and cry. This time, I won't subject you to an entire rundown of the game. That's what GameFAQ is for. I'll just give you my quick thoughts about what I played, how long it took to beat it, and where I would rate it on my tier list. So with that down, let's jump into it with Mario: The Lost Levels. Fun fact, in Japan this was actually Super Mario Bros. 2. Apparently Nintendo didn't think we suffered enough and made a sequel, expanding on everything from the first game. Unfortunately, everyone outside of Japan agreed the game was too hard. So Nintendo of America rebranded another game and made that our Mario 2. And when I say hard, oh believe me, you'll see what I mean real quick. Immediately upon starting the game, you'll see the option for a Mario game or a Luigi game. Okay, well in the first game, if you pick 2-player mode, player 1 is Mario and player 2 is Luigi. So it's weird that they renamed it as Luigi game. Oh, never mind, I'm literally playing as Luigi. On one hand, it's cool that you have the option to play as either brother right from the get-go, but that also means that there's no 2-player mode. You know what? That's fine, because I wouldn't want to subject another innocent soul to this torture of a game. There's not much of a difference anyway. Both brothers control the same way, but their properties are slightly different. Mario slides less, but Luigi has more ups. So let's go with Mario. This isn't Super Luigi Brothers after all. And yeah, if you've seen the first video, then there's not much to say about this one. Everything from the first game is here. All the enemies, power-ups, obstacles, and even the shitty physics. It's just that the level is specifically designed to screw you over. The enemies are placed so closely to each other that even if you dodge one, you'll hit the others, and you'll be begging for a mushroom every time. The platforming is also more frustrating. There's a lot more one-block platforms and sections where you have to build up speed for big jumps. The problem is, there's always something that makes you slow down, or you miss time to jump and die anyway. Literally, the only two new things they added are poison mushrooms that hurt you, and wind. So the only expansions they brought were things that fuck you. I managed to get a warp pipe to World 6, and honestly at this point I was so done with the game that I took it. As before, 8-3 is the devil's taint, and I hate it. And this is what happens when you rewind yourself to a corner. Try a harder world? Yeah, I'll have to pass on that. So in conclusion, this game was not as fun as the first game. The first one definitely had the charm of teaching you the basics even if you haven't played a platformer before, and gradually increasing the difficulty as you go through the game. I'm pretty sure Shigeru Miyamoto has a video explaining his design philosophy of level 1-1, which is very fascinating. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure they put a lot of thought into the levels of this game too, but these are definitely more fun to design than they are to play. What also doesn't help is that it didn't add anything to help you traverse through the world in a new and interesting way. It's the same 3 power-ups, and the only new one they added takes it all away. The only thing close to fun for me is this level with a bunch of trampolines and wind, but it still kinda sucks. There's not enough new additions, and the level design is frustrating. Not even the varied backgrounds can quench my rage. The Lost Levels gets a D from me. Mario 2 is an interesting specimen. Originally a Japanese game called Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, Nintendo of America basically took this as a base, reskinned the main characters, and made that the international Mario 2. This also created an awkward situation when Super Mario All-Stars was released in Japan. Since our Lost Levels is their Mario 2, obviously they can't call this game Mario 2 2, so they renamed it as Super Mario Bros. USA. Yeah, America! Before the start of every level, you have the option to play as 4 characters. Much like the Lost Levels, they all control the same but have different properties. Mario and Luigi inherit their characteristics from the Lost Levels. Mario slides less, but Luigi has more jump height. But now there are 2 new characters to talk about: Toad and Peach. Toad has the worst jump height out of everyone, but can run the fastest and can pick up things the fastest. Yeah, that was another hint that this was clearly a different game. In this one, you don't kill enemies by jumping on them. That just makes you chill on their head and makes things super awkward. You have to pick them up and throw them into other enemies instead. You can also pick vegetables up from the ground and throw those at enemies. The last one we need to mention is Peach. While she has the longest time picking stuff up, she does have the unique ability to hover by holding the jump button, which instantly made her the best. The general gameplay loop is pretty much the same as the other two. Get to the end of the stage without dying. At the end of the level, you have to fight this pink bird thing named Clyde. Just kidding, it's bird though. Just grab the egg that it shoots and throw it back at it. Grab the orb and get bored by this bird mount to complete the level. Sometimes you'll get a slot machine minigame based on the number of coins you've collected, which you can get if you summon this potion thing to summon the door. Okay, I don't know what kind of drugs they had over there in Japan, but I want some. At the end of every world, you get to fight a boss. The designs are all unique and different, but the basic strategy is the same. Just grab something and throw it until the thing dies. Now, while in paper this should be a totally new and refreshing experience, I also found myself bored of the game about halfway through, because while this game is technically easier than the last levels, it has its own unique problems that make it equally as frustrating. First, throwing is very inconsistent. When you stand still and throw an enemy, you throw them. But when you do it with a bomb, you plop it right in front of your face, the safest distance you can be from an explosive. It also doesn't help that the environment is also out to get you this time. Falling logs, sand you have to dig through, sand you have to keep jumping to get out of. I don't know what I was thinking choosing the slightest character in the slightest level here. The worst environmental hazard though are these fucking masks. You need to grab a key in order to open locked doors, but when you do, these annoying masks come out to get you. And there's no way to defend yourself other than dropping the key, and then he's like, alright, whatever. But then when you pick it back up, he's like,
I'm coming for that ass, boy.
I decided to use Toad more often because picking things up is more important for the bosses than hovering around. After beating this crab thing, a bunch more birdos, and these three-headed snakes, I was at the last boss before the final world. I like that the boss this time is the bird face you keep going into. I thought that was a pretty neat twist. And I also like that we still need to go into him to advance. When I got to the final world, the game just kicked me in the nuts and turned the difficulty all the way up to 100. Since there's no post-game levels this time around, these are the most difficult levels the game has to offer, and oh my god. The final boss of the game is the Frog King, Wart. You have to kill him with his mouth open. Afterwards, it's revealed that this whole thing was just Mario's dream. It's funny because the beginning text mentions that he learns of this world through a dream, and that's why they fall through a door in the sky. So is this like a dream within a dream? Wait a minute, Inception stole that shit from Mario! Then Mario just goes back to sleep. Honestly, same. So what do I think of Mario 2? Very mixed. I like that this one encourages a lot more exploration. I appreciate that they took away the time limit. I always hated that in Mario games, since it doesn't really do anything except discourage you from looking around. Yeah, you get more points if you complete a level with more time, but when have you ever cared about getting a high score in a Mario game? And if you say it's useful for speedrunners, they just use their own timers anyway. That's why I appreciate that the new Super Mario Bros. Wonder removed the time limit. And I hope this change is kept moving forward. Another change I like is that the way to the goal isn't always straightforward. You have to go up, down, sometimes left in order to get to the boss room, so there is some level variety. But my god, it is infuriating playing this game sometimes. I mean, look at this. Look at it! I will give it to this game though. There are some creative moments here that I thought were clever.
Clever girl.
Like this section, where you have to jump on the enemy to avoid the spikes. And this part where you have to avoid the mask by going to the other side of the screen, like the original Mario Bros. Arcade game. And this part where you have to jump on Birdo's egg to cross this huge gap of water. A handful of moments that take advantage of the weird rules of the game. But for the most part, this game is still very difficult. Much like the Lost levels, there isn't any new power-ups. In fact, there's even less now. Aside from the mushroom and the star, there's no fire flower. I guess they thought picking your enemies up and throwing them is good enough. There are these power blocks that kill anything on screen, but there's only a few of them and they don't kill flying enemies. Also, healing is very scarce in this game. You get one mushroom per level, and that's it. Hearts are very rare. You have to kill a certain number of enemies, and then a heart will slowly float up. More than enough time for an enemy to hit you, making it pointless. For a good majority of the game, I was hovering on the brink of death all the time, while the cheerful music blared around me. I'm not even ashamed of using the rewind feature this time. Maybe a little bit. So while I think this game is a step up from the last levels, is it better than the first game? Not really. I think it's a step below that. But does this game kill any desire to replay Mario 2? No. It's a little like Mario 64. The first time for me was an absolute hell, but then I played the DS version and really started to appreciate the original. So maybe it's just that I haven't found the correct version for me. I heard that Super Mario Advance 2 is the definitive version of this game, so I might try that one in the future. I was going to include Super Mario Bros. 3 on here, but I'm a little burnt out from Mario. I'll save that one for later. Anyway, Super Mario Bros. 2 gets a C from me. Better than the Lost Levels, but not quite as good as Mario 1. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. This has been your Jobo speaking. Thanks for watching.